Platoon Commander and Air Force veterans, welcome to this year's Veterans Day ceremony. It's a pleasure to have you all here. I'd like to take a moment to do some introductions of some dignitaries we have in the audience with us today. Neil Devine, City Commissioner, please stand. Good morning. And also with us this morning is Mayor Hatch. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I am humbled and proud to be with you today as we remember those who have fallen and those that are still here. It makes me even happier to see a veteran who serves veterans. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our executive board. Paul Ellis, United States Army. Caleb Homer, Navy Corpsman. Henry Kirkland, Army. Randall Sanchez, Marines. Jim Kelby, Army. Lenny Orjakowski, Army. Douglas Law, Army. John W., Army. Abel Santos, United States Air Force. Thank you all for your service. Thank you all for the time and pleasure to get back to us. Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first Armistice Day with the following words. To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride and heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the clouds of the nations. 1919 changed Armistice Day to Veterans Day, which brings us here today. Let's take a moment on Veterans Day to honor those ordinary people who have done something extraordinary so that we may all enjoy our freedom that we treasure today. Thank you so much. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce you to, At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Abel Santos, who will lead us in today's prayer.
O God, eternal Father and everlasting King of heaven and earth, we render your acknowledgement of your supreme dominion over us and gratitude for your eternal solicitude and watchfulness. As we gather here in humble recognition of your divine providence, we beseech you to usher into the world of confusion and doubt the peace and tranquility which alone can come from you. Bless and protect our nation. Be merciful to our honored dead, the memory of whose valor, courage, and heroism inspires us to noble action and to the eternal vigilance in the perseverance of our priceless liberty and our inalienable rights to endure happiness. Guide and direct our minds to a thorough understanding of our duties to you, to our country, and to one another. Awaken in our hearts the desire and the will to accomplish ideals for which this nation exists, so that out of determination and endeavor there may emerge a better world, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to preserving the individual rights and dignity of man, a world of tolerance and justice, a world intent on loving and serving you, our Lord and Master.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Abel. There are some other individuals that I'd like to recognize today, and that is not all of the people that do all of the work around here are veterans, but they do all the work around here because they admire veterans. I'd like to thank very much Lindy Pullman for getting everything set up this morning. Thank you, Lindy. Scott Kelly from the Sons of American Legion. Scott, where are you? Thank you, sir. Mark Stevens with the Riders, American Legion Riders. Tara Harris with the Auxiliary for putting everything together. Thank you. And unfortunately, missing today is Faye Kirkland, who is our auxiliary president, and we send out our love and quick healing for her. So thank you, Faye, for all that you do. I am confident that I've missed everyone that was supposed to be recognized, so I do thank everyone. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure now to introduce you to a proud Gold Star mother of Specialist Corey Cowell. She is president and founder of My Warrior's Place. Please help me welcome Kelly Cowell.
Hello, and thank you for having me here today. You know, everyone that joins the military, they sign that blank check, willing to give their all. Thankfully, they don't all have to give their all, but the sacrifices that they make while serving are much more than those of the ordinary person. It's why I think only about 10% serve, but they have service in their heart. And that's why when they get out, a lot of times they join other organizations such as law enforcement and firefighters to continue those acts of service. I know with My Warrior's Place, we're there to honor our veterans, our active duty, law enforcement and firefighters, along with the Gold Star mothers. And I would say that about 99% of our volunteers, we're 100% volunteer run, but 99% of our volunteers are veterans themselves because they want to continue to give back. We are so honored to be able to provide a beautiful retreat center in Ruskin. If you haven't been there, I implore you to come. It's not that far. I drove it in about 30 minutes, 45 maybe at the most. But we're right on the water of the Little Manatee, 1 mile from the bay. And we have little cottages there that people can stay in as well. We also have a boating program called Fave Boating, where we actually will take out our heroes and a guest out, whether it's going fishing or whether it's for a pleasure cruise out to an island, as a way of honoring them and their service and sacrifice. We also have our Everyday Heroes program, because sometimes they just need a little help, whether it's financial help to help. Recently we paid for a gentleman's, a veteran's vehicle to be serviced because he had his daughter diagnosed with cancer and needed to take her to New York for some treatments, and they weren't sure that their van was roadworthy, so we bought new tires and helped it with a complete tune-up and gave them a $200 gift card for gas. Probably not enough to get them there and back with the gas prices the way they are, but it was help for them. We also have Project Corregidor, which is our Forever a Warrior program, and it is to help our veterans to transition more easy into the civilian sector. It's hard leaving that battlefield within once they get back from the battlefield, and so our program is designed to help them with that. And then our newest program, My Service Dog's Place. A lot of people are not aware, but if you're a veteran and you have a service dog and you are hospitalized or have a breakdown and are Baker acted for mental treatment, if you don't have a family member or a friend to take your service dog, it's going to the pound. So we are rescuing the dogs out of the pound because we know that there have been veterans that have actually lost their service dog because they didn't get out in time to get it from the pound. And so when they got out, when they needed their service dog more than ever, it wasn't there for them. It was either euthanized or had been adopted out. We are now trying to build a 10-kennel facility because not only is that problem happening, but we have veterans out there with service dogs that need operations, that need to go in a treatment program, and they won't go because there's no one to take care of their dog. We don't feel a veteran should ever have to choose between their health and well-being and their service dog. So we're now as I said, trying to raise the money to build a kennel facility to be able to take in all the dogs in the county of Hillsborough, along with all the surrounding counties, which includes this county as well. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. I want to thank our veterans that are here today. Thank God you made it home. My son didn't get to make it home, but I know that he loved going and talking to our veterans, loved the sacrifices that they were willing to make, and it's one of the reasons he, from a small age, wanted to join the military. So thank you for your service, but thank you for your sacrifices as well.
Kelly, thank you so much, and thank you for the sacrifice that you've endured. This is all about warriors for veterans, and you certainly are one, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you. It is now my honor to introduce to you retired Colonel of the United States Air Force, Polk Veterans Council Flight to Honor, Mr. Gary Clark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your sacrifice, those great words. First of all, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, and congratulations on this great turnout that you have. If you're a Marine, would you raise your hand? Okay, no Marines? Oh. Okay. Happy birthday, one day late. You know, as I said in the message that I sent out yesterday, sometimes good things happen in a bar, and that's where the Marines were started, in a bar. And look up the story sometime. It's interesting. But anyway, it's my honor to be here. Let me start by saying that you know, the Veterans Council, which I have the honor of chairing, has one of the obligations that we have is to ensure that the community understands the importance of a strong national defense and appreciates the service that you all rendered in that cause. We've got some challenges now. The country has some definite challenges. And probably brought into focus more clearly than ever before was the debacle of it known as Afghanistan, and the way we came out of there. 13 troops lost their life. There are 13 families that will have an empty chair at the Thanksgiving table this year. Let us never forget that the sacrifice they made and the sacrifice that this young lady's son made will ever be forgotten, and that we always live up to the principles and the causes that they stood for and not let them down ever. The situation out of Afghanistan has had a dramatic effect on particularly those who served in Afghanistan and Iraq. The crisis line hotline has received an increase of 81% calls since that event. 81% increase in the number of calls to the crisis hotline. So, and the suicide rate has increased. It's now nearly twice what it is for non-veterans. So, if there is somebody, and we've been affected in this community as well, as you know. So if there's somebody that you think needs some help, there's help here. There's help in the vet centers. There's help with other veterans. Don't let them suffer and go through this traumatic experience alone. Work with them, get them the help they need. If nothing else, then just be a friend. Reinforce the fact that their service was not in vain. That the country appreciates that. Now, what's difficult, in addition, as we look out there, are the things that are affecting military readiness. Currently, within the leadership of the military services, and maybe even higher, there's not a great concern on readiness, and there should be. Inflation affects, as you all know, inflation affects the military as well. When gas prices go up, guess what? You can't fly as much under a fixed budget that you have. Or you can't drive that tank as much. So training goes down, training atrophies. At the same time, we know what we see as a threat out there. China launched a hypersonic missile recently. That's a game changer. We have nothing to counter that, and we're not paying attention to it. Meanwhile, we're looking at things that have nothing to do with countering the Chinese threat. And so we've got to call the public's attention to how important these things are, and where the emphasis needs to be with our political representatives, with other people that are in a position to have some impact in what goes on. The security of our nation and the freedoms that folks like this lady's son and other sons out there, and those 13 plus that lost their life, the freedoms that they've fought and served for are at risk if we don't protect that. So stand up. Your service is still required. You're still required to let people know. And you're the minority. We're the minority. The veterans are a minority in this population, in this citizenry. We're the ones that have had the experience, and we're the ones that can tell the story and emphasize the importance, not in a hostile way, but in an informative way to the rest of the population. Because as we look around, the futures of these young people that reside over here and standing against the wall, the futures of these young people are what we're looking at. And the futures of my grandkids and your grandkids are what we're standing up here for. So be a voice. Be a voice for what needs to be done to ensure that our national defense remains at the highest level it can possibly be, and the readiness of the folks. We're losing a lot of people out of the military. A lot of people are choosing not to re-enlist or to resign. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday, a guy who's with a unit, and he's telling me that a number of the people that are in his unit have 15, 16, 17 years of service and are quitting because of the kinds of inadequate leadership that they're experiencing. So they're tired of some of the things that are coming down. And we know what happened with Stu Scheller, Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller in the Marines. We know what happened with Matt Lohmeyer, who spoke out. And we know what happened to Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn. Study that out and what happened and why that happened. And hopefully it won't happen to any future young leaders, and that people will be able to stem the tide of those that are resigning their commissions and those that are choosing not to continue their military service. So it's and this is an important day to make that commitment. And for that, I thank you all for this opportunity to say a few words to you. And happy Veterans Day, and thank you all for your service. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Colonel, we thank you very much for being a warrior for veterans. And I had the honor last year of going on the Flight to Honor. So if any of you have the opportunity to sign up to be a chaperone or sign up to be a veteran that would like to go to Washington, D.C. for the day, it's the most memorable day of my veteran experience. So please see Mr. Clark afterwards, Colonel Clark afterwards, and get yourself registered. Okay, so now we have with us from the Polk County Sheriff's Department, who I just learned is a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine, right, sir?
Absolutely.
Okay. Please help me welcome Captain Terry Story.
Thank you. My name is Captain Terry Story. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for about 28 years. I'm due to retire May 31st. I'm looking for that. Well, I'm kind of off the cuff a little bit this morning to go along with what the Colonel said. I saw today on Fox News that eight Navy SEALs are now running for a congressional office. So after they left the service, they decided to keep serving and run for these offices. So I would encourage you to follow that and get out and vote, because that's what's going to change the course of where we're headed. And I think everybody understands that. So this day is set aside to pay homage to our military veterans. As we celebrate Veterans Day, I believe it's important to acknowledge that our military veterans served our country and many paid the ultimate sacrifice. The reason we stand here today is because of their sacrifice. And to all the veterans, I say to you, thank you. Duty called, and you answered. Veterans Day holds a special place in my heart. I served in the United States Marine Corps Fast Company from 1987 to 1991. November 11th also marks the anniversary of the end of World War I hostilities. At the 11th hour on the 11th day of the month in 1918, the Great War ended when our allies in Germany signed an armistice in Compiègne, France, which led to the Treaty of Versailles. My great-uncle, my grand-uncle, my father's uncle, served in World War I. My dad also served in the Army during the Korean War, and he used to refer to me as his little jarhead. I used to remind him what Army stood for. Aren't ready to be Marines yet. Oh. I'm just joking.
That's cute.
So Veterans Day has, and also my nephew served in the United States Air Force. So Veterans Day hits home for me and my family. It's a special day. Did you know the Star Spangled Banner has 4 verses? The first verse of which is our national anthem. I'd like to read you the last verse of the song that Francis Scott Key penned in 1814. Oh, thus it be ever, when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us as a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause is just, and this to be our motto, in God we trust. And the Star Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the braves. Of the brave. Not the Braves. Not the Braves. So true are the words, when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Our veterans did that. Veterans, thank you for your service despite the sacrifice. You are our heroes. As we learned on September 11, 2001, our wars are no longer just fought overseas. Terrorism and even domestic terrorism is a very real threat to us, our military and our first responders. But make no mistake, the United States of America is resilient, and we have the very best military and intelligence in the world. This is why our military men and women deserve our support no matter how long it takes. And along with what the Colonel said, no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the morale and the moral courage of free men and women, and that is you here today. Veterans Day also hits home for me because many of my friends and those who work for me are serving in the reserves. I know many firefighters, paramedics, and police officers across Polk County in the reserves or have served in the height of the war during Iraq and Afghanistan. Our veterans and emergency responders truly are heroes, and we must never forget. Soldiers run in when everyone else is running out. They preserve our freedoms even when we take them for granted. They serve in peril, even though it means putting their life on the line. Ronald Reagan said, of the 4 wars of my lifetime, none of them came about because the U.S. was too strong. So we need to keep building our military, as Colonel mentioned. Psalms 33:12 says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We must never forget we are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May God bless you all.
That concludes our speakers for today, so let's give them a very nice post-72 thank you. Also wanted to take a moment to thank the Summerland Academy for helping us out today. These men and women help us set up today, and they are going to help us now with our POW MIA table ceremony.
Good morning, everybody, and veterans.
Morning.
As you enter the room, you may have noticed a table at the front, which occupies the place of honor near the head table. Raised to call attention to its purpose, the table is reserved to honor our missing loved ones from all branches of service. Except for 5, the empty places represent Americans still missing from each of the 5 armed services: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. This honor ceremony normally would be a table set for 5. The empty places represent Americans still missing from each of the 5 armed services. These Americans are often forgotten. Today, we will remember these Americans. These Americans that we depended on to bring freedom to our great nation. Today, these Americans depend on us to remember them. The table is set for our prisoners of war and those missing in action. Let us remember the U.S. Army, honored by Cadet Captain Jamal Williams. Remember. Let us remember the U.S. Marine Corps, honored by Cadet Private First Class Natasha Le Guin. Remember. Let us remember the U.S. Navy, honored by Cadet Private John Brinkman. Remember. Let us remember the U.S. Air Force, honored by Cadet Second Lieutenant Jasmine Harris. Remember. Let us remember the U.S. Coast Guard, honored by Cadet Private Alexis Lantigua. Remember. Let us remember the men and women from all branches of service that are often forgotten. Let us remember. This honor ceremony symbolizes that they are here with us, here in spirit. Some here in this room were very young when they were sent into combat. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve and served the cause of freedom in a special way. I would like to explain the meaning of the items on this special table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men and women. The long candle is white. Symbolizing the frailty of a prisoner alone in trying to stand up against his or her oppressors. Remember, the tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when entering the call to duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life of each of the missing and the loved ones and friends of these Americans who keep the faith awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, symbolic of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and or missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt on each plate symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. The Bible represents strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glasses are inverted to symbolize their inability to share this evening's toast. The chairs are empty. They are missing. Now, Amazing Grace by Cadet Corporal Haley Byers and Cadet Private First Class Carlos Gabriel.
One step backwards, march. Right, face. Forward, march.
Let us now bow our heads for a moment of silence to honor not only America's missing in action and prisoners of war, but to the success of our efforts to account for them, but also for our fallen comrades who are given the ultimate sacrifice during the conduct of Operation Enduring Freedom. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. I wasn't really expecting that. Thank you so much, Summerland Academy. I'd like really quickly, if you could, all veterans to say stand. All veterans. Do a quick roll call. Jerry Ebley. Let's go.
Andy Lewandowski,
Eric Ebley.
David Edelman,
John Wilfred.
In the back.
Ron Elliott,
Lanny Orzakowski.
Sir.
Tom Norman.
Paul Shalhoub.
John Pugh. Ryan Persinger.
Roger Land.
Did I miss anyone?
CSM retired Carter Sherman.
Kevin Homer.
Terry Clark. Terry Story.
Anyone else? Thank you so much for your service and sacrifice. I want to thank you all for attending today. I hope you enjoyed our program. We will conclude, and we invite you all to stay with us for lunch. God bless America. God bless this post. God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much.